Hello, I'm Gary Thornton here with Dr. Roger Lien, Auburn University. Dr. Lien has just given a talk about proposed European standards for lighting and how they might impact U.S. production in the future. Dr. Lien, could you tell us a little bit about your research?
Well, basically, we've been looking at different lighting programs and addressing the requirements and guidelines that are being put forth by the National Chicken Council and the European Union. And in this particular presentation I gave here today, we were comparing three programs. One that would be one that meets the National Chicken Council's guidelines. We provided 20 hours of light a day and 4 hours of darkness at a fairly dim intensity level. And then compared to that, actually two programs that satisfied proposed European regulations, and those were for 8 hours of darkness a day. Now, they've since actually passed regulations in Europe, Gary, that only required 6, but there's certainly an evolution going on here, and we're seeing a push towards having more darkness for the chickens during broiler rearing periods. The programs we looked at that satisfied the European Union regulations, one of them just provided an 8-hour block of darkness. The other had a meal feeding time, or a 2-hour light period in the middle of that 8 hours of darkness. So that would be 14 hours of light followed by 4 of dark, 2 of light, and 4 of dark. And what we're basically asking is, can we provide that amount of darkness and still maintain our performance by giving the birds a time to feed in the middle of the dark period? And we've been working on research on lighting programs, and have just recently started looking directly at these guidelines and regulations. But looking at the generalities that we've seen over of several studies over the last 7 to 9 years, we're seeing that as we decrease the day length provided to these birds, we do, under about 20 hours of light, see a decrease in body weight, in growth, and feed consumption. And we're looking at, if we split up that dark period, can we ameliorate that effect? We also have seen differences in yield due to intensity and photo period. So both of those factors can influence yield. Interestingly enough, when we go to a European type situation, they call for more darkness, which is a shorter photo period, which has a negative impact on carcass yield and breast meat yield. However, they at the same time require a brighter intensity, and that seems to improve yield. We've seen that in a number of our studies, and actually in this particular one, our treatments came out very similar, but we're varying 2 factors, and they seem to sort of cancel one another out. But it did appear from the work I presented today that we can go to a split 8-hour dark period and have very similar performance to what we get with just a 4-hour dark period that's currently what the National Chicken Council here in the States is recommending.
So potentially U.S. producers could make this kind of European program fit in their production regimes?
Yes, I think so. There are some other issues, behavioral issues, and just different responses of the birds that we didn't cover here today that are influenced by intensity, and reasons why producers don't like to use that brighter intensities here in the States. But I think what we're trying to show is there's a give and take, whether it be live production or processing yields. And we're looking for ways to provide information to the industry where they can look down the road and say, well, these things are coming, because, as I'd mentioned earlier, I believe that what we see in Europe, we're going to see in the States before long, and we're under the same sorts of pressures from our consumers. And we're just trying to figure out ways that as these things come up, we can address them without sacrificing our performance and yield.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Lien.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.